Oh, hey, Alice. You came at a good time. We have Isabella Squillace,
That's right. Yeah.
Bella on bass.
hmm
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You can catch Bella at Bowery Vault tonight,
That's right.
June 2nd.
Yeah.
That's what today is. I definitely didn't record this ahead of time or anything like that. Oh,
No,
no.
no.
Who else is on that bill? Do you know?
Um, gosh, I have yet to get all the
Yeah.
information, but I'm just gonna show up and have a good time, bring my band. I've got my dad's gonna be on
Oh,
drums.
hell yeah.
So yeah, Pino Squillace is playing drums, and then I've got Caleb Hudson on guitar.
Right on.
Yeah.
I'll put when there's more info on it, I'll put a description so you can go check this out. But definitely check that out. Do you know roughly what time that's getting started?
I think they're around 8 o'clock.
Okay, cool. I will be there and I'll know if you're not there because I'll be there. So
Right
I'll see
on.
you and judge you if your absence is noticed.
Come to the show.
And then you've got a tour coming up. You're going to Italy,
Yeah.
and that's 17th. Is that right?
It's the 19th, June
19th.
19th.
I was close.
You are. Yeah.
So that's cool. How long are you going to be gone doing that?
We're gonna be gone for 2 weeks and we've got like 6 dates so far. Um, I think there's gonna be one or two in Rome and then a couple other places. My dad is one of seven in Italy, so we're gonna have like I'm gonna get to see family. It's gonna be a family affair. Um, we've got multiple artists that are all people who have been a part of Everyday Nashville. This is the collective. We've got Kenny Sharp, Sean Myers, Caleb Hudson, Lorenzo Piccone, and then my dad, who's gonna be playing drums. It's gonna be cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
That's a full show.
yeah. It's gonna be like a broad range of all the different genres that you find here in Nashville.
That's awesome. I assume it's probably not your first time being to Europe and Italy in that area.
No, actually, I went. Okay, I went pre 2019, like towards the end of 2019, right before COVID hit. I got COVID in Italy. Dude, I was there for 5 months. It was a beautiful experience.
Mm.
I got COVID in Italy and then like got better, everything was all good. And then I was like, okay, gotta go home. It's winter time. I have only summer clothes and it gets cold over there.
Mm.
So I flew back and I got back home right before COVID hit. But the interesting thing is, I started the whole project that I've been working on in Italy. And because I had brought my bass, I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to use Pro Tools. I'm gonna learn how to use my little MIDI keyboard. Um, and then fast forward to now, I have this whole project that I've finished and full circle. We're going back to Italy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're getting to like play a lot of the songs that had their inception there too.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I bet it was a really good space like creatively to think and to write probably.
Yeah. Oh, it's just nice. It's like just lovely and like coffee, like midday
Hmm.
coffees and
Did you grow up here?
yeah, born and raised Nashville.
Okay.
hmm How about
So
you?
yeah, I grew up about an hour and a half south of here, Fayetteville, Tennessee. It's
Okay.
like right above Huntsville, Alabama, like
Oh
the
yeah,
last town before you get into Alabama.
right on.
Yep. So I mean, yes and no. I kind of grew up here.
What brought you to Nashville?
So I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, my mom was too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Uh, we were talking earlier about potentially having her on the show. Now I definitely want to
Yeah.
talk to her.
Oh, wow. You guys would definitely have some stuff in common
Is
to
she
talk about.
still or
No, no
okay?
longer. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I was also homeschooled,
Oh, wow.
so I was very sheltered from the time I was basically till I turned 18. And then I moved up here because of the girl I was seeing at the time. I moved closer to her. And then she started introducing me she was a photographer for a lot of local bands. And then, so I kind of got to like meet people up here. And so, like, real quick, church got replaced with live music for me.
Wow.
And it's like interesting to me because it does really have like it feels like church a little bit,
Yeah.
except cooler, you know.
Yeah, there's connection to God through music. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Actually, I want to talk about that more in a minute, but were you raised religiously?
I was, yeah, I am. I believe in Jesus, and I love the Lord.
What what denomination were you guys growing up?
More
Or are you
spiritual,
non-denominational?
non-denominational. Yeah, I went to this dope church downtown, actually, Cross Point for a while.
Hmm,
That was really cool. Had a good chill environment, and I went to church camp growing up and all that.
nice. So on what we were just talking about, where do you think art comes from? Like, so
Where do I think art comes from?
yeah, so like for me personally, it's like I can't just sit down and start writing. It's usually like something comes to me,
Yeah,
and then I have to go sit and write down, like go
right,
sit down and write.
right.
But I guess what's that process like for you?
Um, well, sometimes it happens like that, and then sometimes I'm like stuck with a feeling, and dealing with something in my life, and I'm like, okay, I gotta sit down. I gotta, I don't know, just get into my zone and like let it all go. Like when I'm in my room and I'm just, this is my process for writing music. I just kind of start with a bass loop, and then as the ideas start to come like melodically, then like I'll hear a word and then I'll be like, okay, this is what the song is about.
Hmm, that's cool. So it starts with the bass, and then like everything else just like is able to come through that as like a medium, I guess.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's
Uh,
interesting that you say baseline because I don't always, for a lot of my stuff, I didn't always write from a bass. A lot of this I wrote from the acoustic. Um, Especially this upcoming record, and more in the past 10 years or so, I started doing a lot more writing from the bass.
How is it for you?
I find it a lot easier. I find it a lot easier to come to pull things virtually out of nowhere. If I don't already have like lyrics and stuff and I'm trying to put something together, if I just want to, I hate to say contrive, but if I want to contrive something and I'm not necessarily inspired, if you will,
Hmm.
starting from the bass is one of the easiest things is bass line because everybody loves a good bass line. But yeah, I just thought that was real interesting. Yeah, 'cause you are
Do you ever find that like when you pick up the bass and you create that bass line that like the ideas come, does it ever inspire you to do something that you wouldn't do just on another instrument that you usually play?
oh yeah, it actually makes me get more. It's allowed me to reach back into my theory from 30 years ago that I never used playing in this town and start actually trying to apply more theory. That's why I'm getting so much more into jazz, back into playing jazz because it causes me to reach more into theory because there's more to go around when you're on a melody
I love
than when
jazz.
you have so much chord structure. Piano structure clutters everything so
Yeah, you
much
got
that
options,
right.
you can go somewhere that, just feels like new and fresh and like, yeah.
I'm sure you had a lot of music growing up in the house, obviously.
Yeah.
Was bass your first instrument?
Um, no, actually, I started playing drums
Hmm.
first. That was my first instrument. I probably would be a drummer. I would be a really good drummer. I was a drummer for a while, and you know, I've got rhythm, man. My dad grew up, playing congas and drums, and like,
Yeah,
I,
piano's a badass.
he's a badass. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, very, very talented drummer. Um, and like I guess that kind of influence, like not just Pino, but you too, I'm sure. Like it's not just one instrument, like you're just a musician. Like you probably pick up anything, I imagine.
I don't know about that. I think I picked up the bass per se because it's got a combination of both things that I love, and I love rhythm and I love um, the melodic side of the world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I did drums for a while, and then I like did a little bit of piano, but I don't play piano. Yeah,
My mom is an excellent piano player, and
really?
tried to teach me, and I just did not have the discipline for it growing
Um,
up. I wish I had stuck with it, honestly. Um, I've been telling him and other people for years that if I were to pick up an instrument now, it'd probably be a horn of some kind, like a
Oh,
trumpet.
really?
Yeah.
We're trying to get a trumpet in this house.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude, play some trumpet. That'd be
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like everybody should play like
Yeah.
something or sing or do
I-
creative things like write poetry. Like if you have that outlet, it's a whole different, like who needs therapy, you know?
Oh, for sure. Like I know for me personally, it's like not really an option for me.
Yeah.
Like it's something I have to do. It's like very much like an exorcism. Like I get things out like that.
Mm.
I'm sure it's probably a similar thing for you too. It's
Yeah.
like it is fun, but that's not always the reason you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that's kind of like I wonder about what art is, like philosophically, I guess. Because we were just talking about how like there's usually like a spark from somewhere else. And it's like, I don't know, I almost feel like I'm just a vessel for that to come through this world. I don't even know that it like starts with me all the time. This is something I like to ask people is like, what's that process like for you? Where does that start? You know? Because
Whenever I try and force a song out, it never, and it does come from just me. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this and we're gonna create this now. It never ends up being something that I feel like is very good,
yeah,
because it's missing that connection
that
to whatever it is.
that like divine cosmic
Yeah.
element to it.
For me, I feel like it's, you know, I feel like it's God. I feel like it's Jesus. I'm like, okay, this is the melody because it feels right. You
Hmm.
know, when something feels
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that is interesting how like something like with what do you call that? Like it's not chord structure. What is the hertz thing? Is that
Frequency?
frequency? Yeah. Where it's like certain things sound good
Mhm.
and some certain things sound bad. We've talked about
What do
this
you
a
think?
lot.
Yeah, you're talking about resonant frequencies, and well, when you a chord being more than one note, which tonally sounds good, which is an amazing thing about music and being an art that has a science. That
It's kind of like we didn't decide what sounds good. We
Right.
discovered what
Yeah.
sounds good and what doesn't.
and it's just like rhythm. Rhythm. It's the first thing, and they say that that is the original thing. That's why so many primordial gods in different cultures were based on rhythm and drums. And even that
Tribal drums are a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, they talk about in reggae, you often hear them say, talk about the beat of the Nyapingi and calling to creation, and that's the heartbeat.
Mm.
That staggered heartbeat that we all know.
Yeah. I think even if you're not like involved in the creation of it, like even just like the layman who doesn't make music probably understands that there's something like really important about this. Even if they've never really thought about it, it's like in the back of their mind, they know this is not just people banging on a thing. Like there's something really important about that.
Well, how many songs have impacted you in your life? Like, how many songs have impacted generations? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's something that's to be said for art impacting people. And when you're, applying that to like writing and creating things, like, it's got to come from somewhere else, somewhere that like knows more than we do. You know what I mean?
It certainly feels that way.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite like artists that you were like early on that really formed how your sound, I guess?
Okay. Oh God. Every time I get asked this question, sometimes I blank.
So like okay, better question. What did your parents listen to like in the house and in the car when you were a kid?
Okay, my mom listened to a lot of pop music in the car, on the way to school, in the car, going to the grocery store, a little bit of 88.7, what else? My dad has always liked he's always listened to like things that, I wouldn't expect, to hear just like on the radio or from like, because I had a very pop growing up mindset. Like, and then I think when I became a teenager, like later on in my years, I started to like listen to more Lana Del Rey and like,
I
stuff like
love
that.
Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I will
She's
fucking love
awesome.
her. She's a big one for me too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Lana
you're
Del
fine.
Rey.
Lana Del Rey, like lots of like Etta James and stuff that's like good, like old singers, I've loved to sing from like
Hmm.
since I could talk. So a good singer, love that. She really impacted me. Who else? I love like Alice in Chains, and then like I started to get into more Portishead and like
Hell yeah.
90s stuff that just is different. Like Fiona Apple,
Hmm.
like Mazzy Star,
Hell yeah.
It's one of my biggest influences is Magic Star.
Really?
And other people have seen that. There's a few of them, there are usually other songwriters that
Yeah.
know it, and they'll make the comment about it,
Yeah.
and which is really odd because a lot of people wouldn't expect that out of me.
Huh.
But female fronted or female vocal bands are a huge influence on me. I'm a vocal producer, so
Yeah.
I'm very much about especially female vocals.
What about Mazzy Star?
Hope Sandoval was one of my favorite singers of all time. And beyond Mazzy Star, her solo stuff really
Hope
shows
Sandoval and the
Warm Inventions.
Warm Inventions, yeah.
And it really showcases her vocal without as much verb. Because the way Mazzy Star was recorded was for the sound that it was, and it was wonderful.
Mhm.
But the one thing it didn't do is it didn't really showcase
Yeah.
too much of her pure voice.
And for a singer like that, you need to have a little bit more dry. You need to bring up, like the low end or,
Right.
the.
So yeah, it's really, they've always been one of my biggest influences, both musically and lyrically, vocally,
Uh-huh.
So
like compared to that, what have you been listening to in like the last week?
Okay, in the last week, I'm not gonna lie, I've been listening to Miley Cyrus's new album. Dude, it's so good.
I haven't heard any of it. I'm sure it is.
I feel like everybody who's like a pop star and now they're in their own age now. They're like what, like past 25, 30s, you've paid your dues up to this point. Now they can make actually cool music.
What you're saying kind of reminds me of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Where it's like they had their pop phase and then they did Sergeant Pepper.
What they did was Rubber Soul pushed it outside, started to push outside of the Love Me Do, and the Revolver was acid. Revolver was like, what did these guys do? And everybody was like, wow.
Yeah, it went from being like pretty standard pop music to like we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want now.
French horns, and
yeah. So Miley Cyrus, I'll have to check that out. What's her new record called?
Really good. Endless Summer. Endless Summer Vacation.
Nice.
Yeah, there's this one song that I feel like depicts how exactly it feels like to be in love, for the very first time. Like you're in this bubble and like it's all really beautiful. And I think she did a really great job, like melodically and also lyrically, and creating that.
Nice. So switching things up a little bit, do you have any ghost stories? And I guess what I mean by that is anything that you can't really explain.
Yeah, definitely. I have definitely had some experiences. Why don't you start?
Sure. So I never experienced anything weird or supernatural growing up. I was always interested in the occult. I was always attracted to the darkness. And I think part of that is because like it's so taboo and foreign from how I grew up, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's like a big no-no, right? So it's
Right.
like that gives it that appeal. The way it started for me was very superficial, like as an aesthetic, like Hot Topic, where it's like this just looks cool. You know what I mean? Like I guess like the goth aesthetic. And it's like I think that's how it starts for a lot of people, is it's like they'll see something cool in a movie or something like that. But I never experienced anything. So at that point in my life, I was like pretty agnostic, I guess. Like now in retrospect, looking back, I've felt the Holy Spirit in church. And it's like I didn't know it at the time,
Hmm.
but interacting with spirits later in life, I'm like, oh, this is what was happening when I was going to church too. I just didn't recognize it at the time.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I didn't have any like spiritual experiences until I went looking for it. And
When you look, you'll find.
when you look, you'll find. Yeah. I don't have any doubt in my mind that spirits exist at this point in my life. I've had several experiences that I would consider channeling, like bodily possession,
Hmm.
which we could get into, kind of a long story, but
I bet that was kind of scary. Did it not like freak you out?
yeah, yeah. So Alice has heard this story before, so I'll briefly just go over it quickly. The first time I had a supernatural experience, which at this point in my life, I probably had like dozens of stories like this at this point, but this was the first time. I bought uh Me and my partner at the time bought a Ouija board that was, if have you seen one? You know what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
So like letters are splayed like this, like kind of like a rainbow,
Right.
and it's rectangular.
Uh-huh.
So this one um is a circle, and the planchet, the part that goes on top of it, is also a circle. Whereas like your traditional ones are kind of like almost triangular. It's actually representative of a wishbone. So like where it kind of like
Okay.
round at the bottom and then it's like narrows at the top.
Okay.
It's supposed to be designed after a wishbone. But this was an invoking board, not an
Oh.
evocation board.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know the difference at the time,
Oh,
but
shit.
geometry is really important,
Okay.
like super important. Uh, Basically, your standard Ouija board is what's called an evocation board. Um, and the level of risk involved with something like that, I would consider like pretty negligible. I know people have a lot of crazy stories about it flying across the room. I'm not saying they're liars. I'm just saying I've had many experiences and I've never seen something like that happen.
Hmm.
But an evocation board, basically the way the planchet's set up, like where it is narrow at the front and then like wider at the back, is designed to, how do I say this? Okay, so like an evocation board would be like talking to someone like through a window, like they're on the other side of it. But an invocation board would be like opening your door and letting them in the house.
Uh-huh.
So like there's the planchet being narrow, it's like it can't come through this way.
Mm-hmm.
So like what we had was an invocation board, which is just a circle. So this thing is in the circle with you. It's not like you're talking to it through a screen. It's like it's in the circle. And what that effectively means is it's inside of the people that are using the board.
Okay.
Um, this is, you could say, riskier than your standard evocation.
You bet.
Yeah. That being said, that being true, you can also take it a lot further because of that. So like, yes, there's more risk involved, but there's also, I guess you could say, more reward involved with something like that. So the first time I did this, I took acid, and I think my partner was more serious about it than I was. We both took acid, but I think she was a lot more of a believer. I just kind of was just trying it.
Right, like, ooh, Ouija board, let's talk to the
Yeah,
spirits.
yeah. And I definitely was interested in that kind of stuff, but despite how interested I was, I didn't actually believe it. Um, so this thing's talking to us for a little bit, and um, I think I've got a picture. I'll show it to you later. But the board I have, it has a cat on it. Like
Mhm.
there's a picture of a cat, and the spirit we came in contact with um, was like saying things like meow, like it was a cat, and it introduced itself as Prince, which sometimes it would spell it like Prince, like Knightley, or and then sometimes it would be like Paw Prince. So like it had two ways of spelling its name. Um, and at first it was saying things like it was trying to tell us that she was pregnant, and we're like, no, that's not true. And it was like, well, in that case, like you need to make a baby. And we're like, no, that's not going to happen
So it
right
was
now.
fucking with you.
Yeah, I think at first it was trying to tell us that she was pregnant, and then we were like, no, that's not possible. And then it was like, well, then you need to conceive a child. And a part of me thinks that it wanted us to like conceive a child while channeling so that it could like go become this child, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we didn't do that. But at a certain point that we were talking to it, I felt like a string was wrapped around my finger. Like my finger was being tugged, and I'm this no other way to explain that. It felt like there was a string wrapped around my finger that someone was tugging.
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, check this out. And after a minute, like the same thing started happening to her. And um, so you were saying that that's got to be scary. It was, but because we were tripping so hard, we were like in a trance.
Mhm.
So it's like I didn't register how weird this was at the time that it was happening. It's only
Mhm.
when I look back that I go, holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like at the time, it was not that weird.
Huh.
Um, and so I was just watching this happen, like to my hand. And after a certain point, I like wiggled my toes and just to show myself, okay, like I'm still in charge of this. Um, and so like that gave me more like comfort to like see where it would go. Um, and at a certain point, like it started opening and closing my hand. It was this hand actually. And
How'd you turn the thing off?
how did it get it to stop?
Yeah, like there's no off button on a Ouija board, you know? Like,
No. Um, it was using my hand. The only way I can describe this is like physical therapy. So it's like if you were in an accident and they're trying to teach you how to use a muscle again. It's like
mhm.
it was trying to figure out how to use my hand.
Mhm.
Um,
Wow.
and then it started rotating my shoulder. And again, I just like stopped it just to be like, okay, I can stop this. So I'm not too concerned about anything.
Mhm.
But at a certain point, I don't know how much time had passed, maybe like 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, that like she and I were just not talking. And at a certain point, I was like, hey, give me some kind of like sign that you're okay. Because I realized she'd been quiet for like a while. And then she just looked at me, and she had like this blank expression on her face, and she wouldn't say anything. And then like tears started rolling down her face. And that freaked me out. I was like, I went from like thinking this was kind of okay to like panicking. So
Okay.
I grabbed her hand and I pushed it to where it was goodbye on the board. And as soon as I did that, I felt like this grip this thing had on me started to let up, but it didn't let up all the way. Like it immediately started to diminish, like it wasn't as powerful, that grip it had. but it didn't let go. It just let up. And
Wow, scary.
yeah, so this is like 3 a.m. We're in our underwear, and she's still like, she's not really talking. So I took her hand. I'm like, come on, let's go outside. And then like I walked out the door, and it's like I could feel this like I was being pulled backwards towards where we were. So I was like, okay, I want to get both of us as far away from this as I can. So we went outside the house, went all the way down the hill to the end of the porch. And then she was like, why are we out here? And I'm like, do you not remember what just happened? She's like, I do, but I don't understand why you dragged me down to the end of the road. And I'm
Wow.
again tripping. So I'm like, is that really her saying this to me right now?
Hmm.
I had a moment where like that was a thought that entered my mind.
Drugs can do some crazy.
Yeah. I have no doubt
Yeah.
that these kind of things open up your mind to suggestibility like that. Um, spirits have an easier time communicating with you for better or for worse when you take psychedelics. Um,
Yep.
so anyway, that was eventually she calmed me down. She's like, everything's fine now. And
I'm glad you guys were okay.
yeah, and I say that was the first time anything like that had ever happened to me. Like I had no parallel or paranormal experiences before that. So that was scary. But I've had a lot of experiences since then where like I don't really feel like there's anything malicious about it. So like something I say a lot is like people are like spirits where there's good people, there's bad people, and there's everything in the middle. It's not just white and black. Like there are angels, there are demons, and then there's everything in the middle of that too. So it's like it's not that something just has good intentions or bad intentions. They're like people. They have their own intentions. So I think there's plenty of evil out there, and then there's plenty of just not even just good, but just like people, just a mixed bag.
Yeah.
That was kind of a long story. What about you?
Ghost stories. Yeah, I saw some scary shit as a kid, but like aside from that, it's just been okay. All I'll say is this. If you look for it, you'll find something.
Yeah.
And there's no telling whether it's something positive or something negative that you'll bring into your life. But what I'll say is that as far as I go on like the spiritual spectrum of things and like looking for things, and I've already done plenty of that, and I'm just kind of in a place in my life where I'm like, okay, I don't want to look for anything that's not going to be a positive thing for me, because I'm calling good things in, and I'm looking for good things, and I have goals I've set, and I'm like, okay, I'm running towards something. And so my interests have changed, um and I'm just all about this music right now.
I think that's a really responsible answer. Where it's
Thank you.
like it's out there, you're aware of it. So
Yeah.
why would you look for that? It's like only
I know as much as I need to know.
yeah. What drew me in was curiosity, like just wanting to see. But I'm kind of where you're at now, where it's like
The spirits ain't paying my bills.
yeah, it's kind of like I know that exists, so I don't need to seek it out anymore.
Right.
Like I opened that door, been there, done that, kind of like you said.
I mean, I'm cool with all these spirits coming to my shows, but they still ain't paying the bills.
So what
That's funny.
so I know we've talked a little bit about that you are religious and a spiritual
Yeah.
religious. And I would
Yeah.
consider myself the same. Like
Cool.
like yeah, not exactly one specific interpretation of it, but very spiritual. What do you think happens after we die?
I think happens after we die.
And to be fair, no one
Um,
on this planet knows, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
nobody knows. Nobody knows.
but does anything make more sense than anything else to you?
I'll tell you what resonates with me. I think we're gonna pass away, and I think we're gonna go somewhere very bright and very beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's everybody or?
Um, that's not for me to decide,
Hmm.
you know? I
Yeah.
think that's up to the person and their relationship with whatever it is that, you know.
So probably not. Like probably there's different answers for different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Um, it's kind of like a sifting of grain. It's like life is a determination. It's a test in a lot of ways. I feel that intuitively. Like there's religions aspects to back this up as well, but I can feel that there is more than this, and the reason we're here is because that kind of determines where you go, I think.
Mm.
I mean, again, I don't know. I'm just talking out my ass, but it's
It's a fun question to ponder,
yeah,
you know. Speaking of grain, I'm going to the beach in Italy and I'm excited
nice.
about. Yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get a new swimsuit. I'm gonna go. I think we're gonna go to the beach. I'm really hoping we do because um we
You have
might.
to go to the beach.
You want to? Yeah, I
You
mean,
have
shit.
to.
If you're in Italy, like, um, my my uncle has a place on the beach, this hotel on the beach, and like, I think we're gonna play a little festival down there. I don't know yet, so I can't really say, but yeah, that's exciting.
That's fun. I haven't been to the beach in a while.
Really,
Yeah,
dude.
The ocean itself is a thing. Is a really
just to see that, to look at that.
to
Yeah,
experience it, to be there with it is a whole thing. I've written.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote my pretty much almost the entirety of my first album I wrote on the beach, so on the beach with my guitar, you know, or at least it spawned from
Hell
that.
yeah.
And
What's your album called?
that would have been the Great Barrier.
The Great Barrier.
Yeah.
Which beach?
It was partially, well, actually no, it was mostly in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, on that side,
Oh.
because when we were on the other side, it was not a place for inspiration.
my parents just moved to like upper Pennsylvania. They're up in the Poconos, which is like there's mountains up there and there's a big lake.
Oh,
And
nice.
they have a little like with their cabin, they have like a little slice of beach on the lake, but it's not the same thing as going to the ocean.
Like
Like
a beach, it's
yeah,
lakefront.
even if there's sand, it's like that's not the same
Oh, they even
thing.
have a little sand out there.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, like the ocean is something else.
Do you guys ever go down to the Lake Beach,
Nashville Shores.
Percy Priest, National
I
Shores?
know, but I grew up less than 100 yards from Percy Priest Lake.
I've been out that way.
And Percy Priest Lake is not a lake, it is a man-made reservoir, which I would suggest, Alice, you never swim in that lake. Because it is minerally treated domestic wastewater.
Grody.
Nice.
Yes.
There's sand. There's sand though.
Sand and on the edge. So you go hang out at the Nashville Shores. I think they got like swimming pool stuff that's not the water there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
National
but-
Shores is fun.
Do you have a favorite food?
Oh God. I wish I. Oh, I have
It's
an
such a
answer
big
for you.
question.
Okay, so I'm going to Italy, and the first thing that I'm gonna do when I get there is I'm gonna go get some pizza.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Italian pizza.
That's the real shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Are you going to Napoli? That's where the real pizza is. You know, there you have to be licensed by them to be a pizza maker because it is their traditional. They consider it to be born there. And that's the place where they put it in the oven for 30, 45 seconds in these almost 1,000-degree blast furnaces. And they just stick it in there and then take it out. And it's very, very specified about, they're very like, nothing else is pizza. We do pizza here. Everything else is garbage. And you can't just open a place without like the city. Like,
Well, if I see one of those, that is where I will be getting the pizza.
I just got back from New York a couple weeks ago,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, my sister lives up there, and we went to this place called Eagly,
Mhm.
and I tried burrata. You know what burrata is?
No, what's that?
It's like this cheese that's like served cold, and it's like got like a shell, but then you like slice it open, and it like
Oh
leaks
yeah,
out.
with the focaccia. What is that? The ricotta on the inside.
Oh, it probably is ricotta.
Is it like mozzarella on the outside?
That sounds right. Yeah, I don't know for
Cool.
sure, but that
I've
it
never
sounds
heard of
like
that.
it was interesting. I have
That sounds
pictures.
decadent.
Yeah, right. Dude,
Yeah,
I've seen them before, but I haven't ever had one.
it was interesting. Like it itself was cold, but then you like mix it with the I forget what kind of pasta I had, but you mix it in obviously, and it's like it's really good. It's really good.
Sounds bomb.
Do you have a favorite superhero?
His favorite superhero?
Yeah,
I don't actually. I was never like much of like oh well, you know what? Catwoman.
Catwoman's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else said Catwoman when I asked him that,
Who was that? But
and
then I've
that's
also brought up that Catwoman isn't actually.
it's such a good answer because Catwoman doesn't have any superpowers, and she's like not a good guy either.
Well, she's
It's
not.
such a good answer though.
She's kind of an anti-hero because she's really just a cat burglar. She's a cat, really,
Yeah.
just really, really good cat burglar.
I think she like specifically robbed from like rich people. I think like kind of a Robin Hood situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, she's not all bad, but she's also like, it's just a good answer to me. It's always funny when people say that.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just think it's funny because you like a lot of people think like Wonder Woman, Superman, but it's like my favorite one is the one that steals shit.
Can I say Popeye?
Popeye?
Yeah,
Dude,
Popeye
that's a
Sailor
great
Man.
fucking answer. He's basically, yeah, he's got super strength
Yeah.
and he gets it from eating
Spinach.
spinach. Yeah. Specifically canned spinach, right?
hmm
It's usually out of a can.
Yeah. Sometimes he inhales it through his pipe too, which is kind of.
You know, it's funny that they haven't remade Popeye with how many things they're like,
You know, I don't think I ever watched the Robin Williams one.
oh, did they? Okay,
They
that's
made
the,
one? A Robin
Oh,
Williams
that
one?
was years ago. Yeah, many, many years ago. The Robin Williams Popeye.
wow.
Robin.
That's probably why they haven't done it yet, is because they already did it.
Well, yeah, because you're not, and from what I understand, it's probably looking back, people probably would really enjoy it a lot more. I don't think it was picked up the best then. You know, I don't think people responded to it as well as they would now because it was, you know, even though he was big at the time when it came out, but you know how it is. Even stars now, you can like them, but then they put out one too many films. You're like, oh, here we go again. You know, so.
Have you watched anything good recently? Like movies, TV shows?
I've kind of been in a rut as far as
Yeah.
movies go.
I watched a couple of things. I watched the new Super Mario movie, which was not good. And then I watched this horror movie that just came out called Skinamarink. And I don't not recommend that to anyone because it is really fucked up. It is so fucked up. And I like stuff like that. And this was too much.
Word.
Yeah, there's a lot. Do you like scary stuff?
I think it is my
Oh,
favorite scary
shit.
movie.
Yeah, it's really good. Like the 90s one or
The new one.
the new
just
one?
came
Yeah,
out.
me too. I agree with you. Those were really good. I do like The Shining a lot as well.
Oh,
I'm not a huge Stephen King fan, but it and The Shining are fucking great.
When I think of The Shining, I don't think of Stephen King. I think of Stanley
Kubrick. Yeah. What about not recently, but like what are your favorite movies overall?
overall, I like Harry Potter's, all the Harry Potters. You know, yeah, and like Eat, Pray, Love.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good one.
Did like how into Harry Potter were you? Like, did you read all the books growing up and
I
stuff like
didn't
that?
read all the books, but I just finally like I kept like seeing them out of order, and then I finally like watched them from start to finish when I was sick one time, like kind of recently, and they're just so good. They're just such good movies. Oh, and Twilight. I will always have a heart for Twilight.
Twilight was a thing.
Yeah.
I also kind of grew up with that a little bit. It was one of those things where it's like I knew a lot of people that were really into it, like really into it. Like I have people like friends that are really into Star Wars, and I feel like
Yeah.
those are like they have the same level of energy that the people that are really into Twilight are into
Yeah.
it.
Well, it was one of the first like female directors that really like
Oh, really?
shot up. Um
I
yeah,
didn't know
I
that.
found that out recently too. I think that's a kind of a cool fact.
I think those movies get a lot of shit. Like Kristen Stewart specifically gets so much shit,
Yeah, I
and
know.
I don't really feel like that's deserved exactly.
I don't either. I think they're just pissed off because she's kind of masculine. They weren't ready for it,
They just weren't ready for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, well, thank you guys for having me. I've had a great time. Great combos.
You can catch Bella on bass tonight at Bowery Vault. And then if you're in Italy, you can catch her on the 19th for your 2-week tour
Hell yeah.
with Pino
Squillace.
Squillace. And who else is going to be on tour?
We got Kenny Sharp. We have Sean Myers, Caleb Hudson, Lorenzo Pico. See, the last name's getting me too. Hold on. Picone.
All wonderful players.
Picone. Pino Squillace, and of course myself.
Nice. Alice, links below. Check out what Bella's got going on, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you there tonight.
And yeah, we'll see you tonight too, because you're going to be at the Bowery Vault. Bye.